Hi, Ghostymon. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself for anyone who is listening and doesn't know you?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And secondly, regarding me, so I started as a developer. I was very much interested in, building websites. I started when I was 11, and that's when I built my first website. Then I slowly got into backend development, and slowly, game development was kind of a hobby for me. And yeah, so that's where I mainly started. Then I worked with a few startups, as a technical founder as well as an advisor. I worked at T-Mobile for a few years, and in 2020 2021 I started working with a few game developer friends of mine to build something that was inside web3. And in terms of my web3 journey, so I wrote a paper on sharding in college, and sharding is basically, splitting data to scale things. And the main issue with blockchain is also scaling. So I saw a few projects in Web3 that were using, or trying to use sharding to scale their blockchain, and that's where I got interested in, Web3 and everything. So that's where I started, but I slowly saw that there was a potential for games to, kind of shine here, due to the fact that a lot of games have trading as a main component, and Web3 can kind of enhance the trading aspects, as well as open databases hold a lot of potential. So we decided, with my friends, I decided to build out what is known as today Mon Studios. We build indie games. Indie games are usually uh, smaller budget games, but they usually are experimenting with a lot of things, and Web3 is all about experimentation. So that's where Mon Studios came into being. We build out indie games that are nostalgic, that have pixel art, that basically allow us to experiment a lot of things in terms of game economy design, in terms of game mechanics, while staying grounded, and trying to build out an actual fun game instead of it just being a DeFi platform or something like that. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's really interesting, especially the part about the fact that you worked on sharding, because that's quite a heavy topic at the moment, isn't it? I know one of our guild members is a Web3 dev, and he's a big fan of certain chains that are looking to utilize sharding really effectively. So that's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Alrighty, could you describe Spellbourne for those who may not be familiar with the game?
Yeah, sure. So Spellbourne is a mixture of three different ideas. I would say it's a mix of Pokemon with Stardew Valley with Tamagotchi style games. Essentially, what we are trying to create is, take the best from Pokemon, the monster catching elements, the nostalgic element, take the, beautiful pixel art ideas, as well as, take the farming elements from Stardew Valley, add the collectability of Tamagotchi style games, and essentially allow players to have a closer relationship with their monsters inside the game, instead of it just being, because in if you look at in Pokemon, you're basically using them as punching bags. While in Spellborn, you have a deeper relationship with them, you have a trust based system. And this
Yeah.
is something that is going to be explored a lot in the future. We have a lot of, feature implementations that will be coming in the next, I'd say, 5 to 6 months. So yeah, in short term, Spellbourne is a monster catching MMORPG. It takes the best of monster catching, farming simulators, and collecting, and it runs on almost all platforms. So currently, it's available on the browser, but we'll be launching it on iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, and we can even push it to Xbox maybe if our audience demands for it, because it is built with a custom framework that we have built in-house that allows us to ship content faster, allows us to experiment with a lot of Web3 elements without having to worry about compatibility issues and everything.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's lovely. Gotta catch them all. And can play from anywhere. Wow. Yeah, that really would be amazing. Okay. What is it that made you want to make this type of game, Spellborn? And how do you see the game evolving in the future?
So the idea basically started from this Web2 project called PokeMMO. It is a community-run project. Basically, what they do is they ask you to bring your Pokemon ROMs, and they convert them to multiplayer. So you're able to play those, old Pokemon-style games together with other players. But the issue is that they're not able to do much on top of it because they do not own the IP. It is a fun idea. It is a very, very cool idea. It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of demand even because PokeMMO was built around 2009, 2010. And it still boasts about 25,000, 30,000 daily active users, even after 15 years. And they basically do one content update every 6 months. It's a small event and that's it because it's a community run project. So that project lacks a lot of support. It has a lot of players, but it lacks a lot of support in terms of content, in terms of features, in terms of basically what they can experiment with, just because they don't own the IP, and just because they don't have the funds to build that idea. So what we wanted to do was, since we wanted to experiment with economies a lot. And PokeMMO already has a very, very active game economy. Their market has been live for, I'd say, about 12 years. And it is a very, very active market. So what we wanted to do was take that idea as a base and experiment on top of it. So what Spellbourne is, it's kind of taking the old nostalgic single player type games and putting it into a multiplayer base. And in that idea, then we implement different, features such as guilds and, PvP tournaments and so on. And these are not just normal guild styles. These guilds are community run. So every guild member has a say in the decisions of the guild instead of it just being run by a single guild leader. So, they kind of run like DAOs, as well as we wanted to, experiment with guild economies. So in the future, when guilds go live, after the initial release of guilds, they will be able to, create their own tokens. They'll be able to create their own economies, and the game will go much, much deeper than what it is currently. Because what we want to do is experiment with things. So the first is risk to earn. Essentially, you and I can play a monster battle, and you could put in some Ethereum, I could put in some NFTs, and winner takes all. So this is the first kind of experimentation we want to run with PvP, and this kind of is very, very common among Web3 games. Not a lot of games implemented directly, but they implemented via external channels. This can be seen with Axie, this can be seen with games like Cambria. So it's a very popular idea, but it is not directly implemented into many games. The second thing is guild being DAOs, because if I think I can discuss this as a separate question, but for us, what we have seen is our guilds have brought us the most amount of players. Like we spent $0 on marketing till now. We haven't advertised Spellbourne anywhere at all. We're at, I'd say, 160,000 signups. We maintain about 5,000, 6,000 daily active users, and we still haven't spent on advertising.
I mean,
why is that?
Oh, sorry. Continue.
Yes, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So why is that? Is because we rely on community-based marketing, and we believe that guilds and content creators, they can become, for example, we build out the game, they build out newer things on top of the game that act as advertising channels for us, and that has proven to work very, very well for us, because we already have like 4 or 5 guilds. They have their own XP systems, they have their own achievement systems, they have even their own newsletters, and we didn't have to build those things. We just built out the basic framework and we let our community run on top of it. We will build out the basic guilds framework. We'll allow guilds to have their own token, have their own voting systems, have their own mission systems, and then we let them do whatever they want. They can build out their achievement systems. We'll provide public APIs, and that's something we wanted to do. Build out a good project, build out a good game, but let the community have control over the game economy. in a way that is meaningful for the game itself, because that would bring more players to the game, as well as it helps the game grow from a simple monster catching title to a whole system of multiple economies interacting together.
Yeah, it's a really good strategy.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about this, because obviously, before today, our some knowledge of the project was just from what we've played and from being in the Discord. So it's really interesting to see how broad your ideas are here. I mean, I really agree with you about guilds, especially in Web3. I think people are hungry for good games. We are. Yeah, we are. Yeah. We actively look. We are trawling, looking to find something that can engage our players. So I think you're absolutely right. When you have a good title, the guild system provides you with lots of willing, active users. I'm glad you said that. I think that's brilliant. You've hinted quite a few times. Obviously, this is quite a big project, and we've only seen a small part of it. But you're not just stopping at this game either, are you? So can you tell us some of the other future plans for other titles you might have?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing is, Spellbourne is an open world game, but not everyone has time to interact in the open world. Not everyone has the time to interact in guilds as well, or even play the quest system. They do like battles, but they don't have time to roam around the overworld. So the first implementation that we're working on is Spellbourne Rogue, which will be a Web 2 only title. It will launch on Steam, iOS, and Android. It will be only battles, but it will be infinite battles. So you have to, basically try to start from scratch every time and defeat as many NPCs as possible. Have a simple storyline between those battles, but you don't have to roam around anywhere, and all of that happens very, very quickly. So you can complete even like 100 battles within 30 minutes. It will be that fast. So that's the first title that we're working on. The second title is very, very separate in terms of game design, even though the IP is same. So for us it was important to build out a single IP instead of build out separate games that have different characters that we'll have to introduce again and again. So Spellbourne is built around in a world called Celestia, and it has a lot of monsters, it has a lot of magic, it has a lot of secrets built into it. Now, to explore those secrets, you play out the quest system, you play out all, you capture all the monsters, you interact with the NPCs. But what happened before this? So to explore that, we are building a game called Guardians of Celestia. This is a game that is centered, I'd say, about 1,000, 2,000 years before the world of Spellbourne. And it is a match 3 RPG. So it's only mobile. It's a match 3 RPG where you collect monsters and then you play a simple match 3 matrix. You can even autoplay it. But in the end, it's all about collectability. So we take the same idea of collectability, of taking care of your monsters, and we add a match 3 game on top of it. And it becomes more casual rather than mid-core. Like Spellbourne is a bit mid-core. You can play it while working, but you still need to put about some amount of attention to it. But for Guardians of Celestia, it's purely casual. You can just play it on your mobile while working side by side. So for us, it's important to target different audiences, and that's what we are trying to do. With Spellbourne, we target mid-core MMORPG enthusiasts who like multiplayer games. With Spellbourne Rogue, we target single players who don't like to interact with other players, but they still like monster catching games. With Guardians of Celestia, we target mobile-based players who are casual only and who have no interest in playing for very, very long periods of time, because with Spellbourne, a lot of players even play for 10 hours consecutively. For Guardians of Celestia, we want that to be about 30 minutes max. They take a break, they try and maybe 1 hour after that. But in the end, what we want them to do is check into the game regularly, be basically addicted to the game, and then they learn about those monsters while playing the game. So now these monsters are also available in Spellbourne. They're also available in Guardians of Celestia. And it allows our team to, kind of test out different channels to introduce different monsters into the IP, see what works, what doesn't. Because at the end of the day, we want to build out a cute IP that is family friendly, that is, that can reach to different audiences via multiple channels. And that's also the reason why we are very, very active on Instagram. We crossed like 100,000 followers there. We are trying to be active on YouTube as well as TikTok, and essentially build out a cute IP that we can explore over different game genres.
Amazing. It sounds like a really big idea. I love the fact that you're going for different genres and different time scales for playing as well, because obviously if you're hardcore Spellbourne played, like you said, I've done 10 hours a day. I don't have enough time to do another 10 hours a day game.
Yeah.
But if I could just pick something up for 30 minutes that is kind of tied to the same game world that I'm invested in, I'll probably be really interested in that.
Exactly. Like once you stop playing Spellbourne, you get up from your computer, you can just hop on your mobile and start playing Guardians of Celestia. You stop playing games, you browse Instagram, and then you see Spellbourne reels there. You open TikTok, you see Spellbourne reels there. You maybe go back to your computer, but now you don't want to interact with someone else, so you open Steam and you start playing Spellbourne Rogue. That's the kind of idea we're going with.
Yeah, I fully understand not wanting to interact with anyone else. I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, Tom. I just wanna add, like, I personally love playing in groups with our team, and I know you've touched up on the guild aspect already, but I just want to know, like, should we expect aspects like parties in the future, where you can play with your friends?
So there are a few ideas that we are exploring related to this. So the first is being Guardian battles for guilds, where multiple players are battling together against a single enemy.
Cool.
And you have like 3 guild members participating in the battle together and so on. And then there's guild wars, where 2 guild members participate in a single battle against 2 other members from another guild. So 2v2 battles and 3v1 battle. As well as we have another feature. I can't really talk about that much because it's still in early development, but it's basically you explore different dungeons and you have to defeat enemies that you find there with your friends. So it's kind of a party system, and you explore the map together, and you have to enter battles together, you have to defeat them together, and your goal is to defeat as many monsters as possible within a certain amount of time. So like within 10 minutes. And then it is a leaderboard system and everything. So you can see, like, we are exploring different gameplay methods, but it's not limited to single player. Like 1v1 battles are possible, 2v2 battles are possible, 3v3 battles are possible, and all of that is possible because our battle system, when we started building it, due to the custom game framework, we were able to design it in such a way that it was pre-planned for these kind of things. Like if we want to add that feature right now, it will take us a week or 2 to implement it. Of course, testing takes longer, but it's much easier for us to implement party systems or even do 2v2 friendly battles and so on.
Wow.
Love that. Very excited for that.
Wow.
I know our guild is gonna be stoked to hear this.
I honestly, that does sound literally incredible. I was just thinking to myself, I'm gonna have to buy some more apartments.
Yeah, I know, right?
What chain is Spellbourne currently on, and what do you look for in a chain as a developer?
So Spellbourne is currently on the Avalanche blockchain. We are building out a subnet. Essentially, if we talk about what we look for a chain, like in a chain, these days, frankly, not almost all chains are offering the same kind of technology. Like if you're a game, you want to have a front-facing support right now. When we talk about games, if we talk about DeFi products, they want a back-end support. Like they want more liquidity, they want more tech side of contracts and everything. But if you're a game, you need a lot of marketing support, a lot of partnership support, a lot of integration support, a lot of framework support. And with framework, I would say existing wallet integrations or marketplace integrations and those kind of things. Because if we talk about from the perspective of a game developer, I want to focus on building out a good game. I don't want to focus on building out good tech because that's not my area. Personally, I love building good tech. So, we are also building good tech side by side. But we are also working with existing providers for these kind of solutions. For example, when we started in 2021, or I would say early 2022, uh, we were looking for the game to be accessible to Web2. And at that time, there wasn't any idea regarding social wallets. Like there was a planned proposal, but there wasn't any provider who was working on this. So what we did was we started working with this provider called Sequence, and they had their like external wallet thingy. You had to open a separate website, and then you logged in, and then you came back to the website. And we worked with them for 2 years, helped them improve their product, while we didn't have to build anything. We helped them improve their product, and we kind of gave them ideas on what we wanted, and they built out the framework for us. That's something that you want from a chain. Like if a chain exists, and why I would want to go on a chain, there are 3 incentives for a game. The first is the tech build up. Like a lot of things when it comes to blockchain are very, very expensive. For example, about, let's say, 40% of our expenses go towards contracts and audits. Total, like all the money that we have raised, 40% of it has gone towards contracts and audits. Not the 100% has gone towards game development. Like we are not managing our wallets. We are working with Sequence, who handles the wallet infrastructure. Yet we have spent 40% of our funds towards contracts and audits, because building on blockchain is very, very expensive still today. And you want chains to support you in terms of infrastructure, so you can focus on your specific contracts that are specific to your game. Secondly, you want marketing support, because a lot of Web2 publishers, they do not like Web3 games. Like they frankly just straight away reject them. So you need a Web3 publisher. And for a chain to perform well as a Web3 publisher, they need to provide marketing support, they need to provide integration support, a lot of things. And that's something that a lot of chains have been excelling at. So I can give a few examples. Like Ronin has done a great job at marketing their games. Avalanche has done a great job at marketing OTG, even for when Spellbourne and Fableborn were live at the same time. They did a whole Born season thing. And it helped out our team a lot, because we didn't have to focus on marketing at all. Like we didn't spend anything on marketing. We didn't spend anything on partnerships. We worked with 4 project integrations. We did 4 events, and we didn't spend anything on marketing with those projects even. And yet with those events, we were able to get like 13,000, 14,000 daily active users in a single event. So when it comes to chains, I think this answer will change over time. But currently, if you want a game to join your chain, you need to act as a good publisher. You need to provide them infrastructure support. You need to provide them marketing support, so that they can focus on building out a good game. Because as you can see with OTG's success, the game needs to be good for it to succeed in Web2.
Absolutely.
If it's not good, you can make the best Web3 infrastructure, but no player would play. Only speculators will play, which is still stuck on the Web3 side, not on the Web2 side. So yeah, that's my opinion on this idea.
I think it's very fascinating. And you mentioned OTG a lot, which has obviously had a great deal of success. But I think where OTG differs to what you're offering is OTG is kind of Web3 light, isn't it? Strictly cosmetic, no token. But do you think that we'll see a trend towards more conservative blockchain implementations, and do you think that's a good thing?
In my opinion, it depends upon the game itself. Like with OTG, it works for them. For us, it might not work just being Web3 light, because if we look at what our team is trying to build, we are trying to experiment things. What OTG is trying to build is kind of an onboarding for Web2 users towards Web3. That's it. They're not interested in experimenting with Web3 elements, because what they're focused on is just gameplay, not economy. For us, we are focused on both gameplay and economy. And if you want to build out a good economy, you need to focus heavily on the Web3 elements, because Web3 allows you to experiment with a lot of things in terms of marketplaces, open economies, open databases, a lot of data for your game to learn from, to build upon. Because when you are trying to build out a good game economy, you need a lot of data. And for Web3, you can check anyone's wallet on the on the Ethereum blockchain, on any other chain. And that's why when we ask the user to sign up, we also try to get them to connect their wallet. Why is that? Because when they connect their wallet, we get a lot of data about them. What they have done in other games, what they have done in terms of on-chain trading, and from that data, we can kind of create custom features inside the game in terms of player-to-player trading, and see where our audience would be more interested in, instead of building out features and hoping that they like it.
That's really
This data provides you a lot of information, allows you to counter and directly target your audience. Because I'll kind of diverge from this question a bit, but this is kind of connected. That you need a lot of feedback from your audience. For example, when we took feedback from our audience regarding what they wanted last month, we got 500 responses from our audience. And all five, I would say 99% of them asked for more content. So what we did was we slowed down on building out new features. We, doubled down on building new content. And for the past 2 months, we have been preparing content in advance. So like we have content ready for 6 months in advance. And what that, kind of did for us was autumn season went live last Monday. And the past 7 days have been the most revenue generating for us till today.
Wow.
Like we have generated out of our total revenue generated, 20% of it was generated in the past 7 days. And you can see, how well it works if you know what your audience wants. And the things that we are experimenting in the future are also based on what our audience wants. So, for example, the on-chain elements that we are experimenting with, it's based on the web, wallet histories of our players around what they like, what they dislike, what kind of NFTs they like, what kind of projects they like, what kind of NFTs they hold for a long period of time. So yeah, that's how we are experimenting with things. And I would say a lot of games will dive deeper into the blockchain implementations, but a lot of games will stay Web3 light because it just works for them. You don't have to force blockchain on players. You want them to accept it on their own.
Well, what you've said about looking at your customers' habits, for lack of a better phrase, by looking at their wallets is fascinating. Have you built out the infrastructure to do that yourself, or are you using a third party?
So we store a lot of data on our own. Like when we talk about our team, I would say if we have 7 developers, out of them 3 are data developers. So they handle just data. They handle, what data the player has on chain. So when you connect your wallet on Ethereum, you can also connect your wallet on Solana. You can, and that's why we double down on these integrations, because we want to incentivize players to, connect their wallets. And the more we learn about the player, the more we can improve the game on our own. And thus that improved game will give us more revenue, which allows us to build, newer things, newer games, and so on.
Wow.
Amazing. Okay. You seem like you have a great amount of experience in Web3. So of all the people you've met in this space, who do you think has shaped your vision for Spellbourne the most, and why?
All of the people that I've met in Web3. There are many who have shaped my vision. Primarily, I would say the closest would be my whole marketing team. So, for example, our marketing team has 3 people, and the first one is Raiden. Raiden is a content creator. He started as a moderator in our team, but he started, working on his content outside the project and build out his own community. He even built out his own kind of get Discord and newsletter, has 10,000 plus subscriptions and everything. And he's now a very, very popular creator. And what I've learned from him is that he has a lot of information from other projects, So because he works with them, what works for them in terms of marketing, what works for them in terms of features, what works for them in terms of gameplay, we collect data from there. When we talk about on the Web2 marketing side, our marketing head, Rachid, he previously worked at Ubisoft, Bandai Namco, so he carries a lot of experience from there. And in terms of the development side of things, so the creator of ERC, like the author of ERC 1155, he leads the development at Sequence. So, you can see how much experience their team has. And when we interact with them, I learn a lot, like in terms of Web3 development, in terms of contract development. Our interactions are always full of, new things for me to learn. So I would say, the people I interact with the most are the marketing team that I have, as well as the Sequence team, as well as some of the developers in the Avalanche team. They have been the main source of information for me in terms of Web3, in terms of what works on the marketing side, what works on the development side, what works on the just basically what Degens love. Because at the end of the day, you want volume in your game for your players to feel comfortable about your game economy. Yeah, that's mostly the amount of people that I regularly interact with. But there are many others. For example, there was this game called Crypto Raiders. It was on Polygon. I was very, very interested in that game, and I talked to the developer team a lot, and I learned from them a lot. Then there's this project called DeFi Kingdoms. I was primarily very, very early to that project, and I started looking at their game economy, and that's primarily the base from where the idea for building out Spellbourne came from. So yeah, that's mostly where my ideas come from, where my inspiration comes from, and where my knowledge comes from in terms of Web3. Otherwise, I have been in this industry like since maybe 2014. That's when I bought my first Bitcoin. But actively participating, I started in 2020, 2021, and that's since when I've been interacting with these people that I mentioned.
Wow.
Lovely. Okay. This is a bit controversial, but I gotta ask. Spellbourne has a similar vibe to other monster catcher IPs, and some of our community members are worried that Spellbourne might face copyright issues because of the similarity. Could you help clear any confusion on this topic?
So this is, I would say it's a very, very common question. It happens because, when we look at monster catching IPs, about 99% of the people just know about Pokemon. And they know how strict Nintendo, how strict the Pokemon company is with their IP. Yeah. But they don't realize that, Pokemon wasn't the first monster catching game. It wasn't the first monster catching IP even. There exists like at least 5 to 6 major other monster catching IPs. There are actively, there are a lot of monster catching games being built actively every single year. And it's a very, very popular genre because it is very, very close to the human nature in terms of, humans love to collect things and we love cute pets. So why not, collecting cute pets? So that's the basic idea. And if you look at, I can give you examples of these monster catching IPs such as Digimon. So for example, our marketing head, he worked at, Bandai Namco, and they worked on multiple Digimon games. So he has a lot of experience with the monster catching style of games as well. And if you look at indie games, you look at Koromon, Temtem. Temtem had 70,000 daily active users on their first day. You can imagine how much demand this, genre has, because the games are being built in this genre and they are being built with their own IPs. And if we look at copyright issues, they only exist if you directly copy the monster designs, you directly copy the characters. And with Spellbourne, we basically build everything in-house from scratch. Like if I tell you about our team, we have 35 members. Out of that, 20 are artists. Our art team is huge. We build everything in-house. We draw everything in-house. We animate everything in-house. we, unlike most Web3 games where art is kind of given to external agencies, for us everything is done in-house because copyright and all these trademark issues are primarily the major reason why most monster catching games don't succeed, and that's something we did not want. So we have a legal team who helps us out figure out these issues, as well as our art team in terms of designing original ideas. I can give you an example of how many original ideas we reject. So if we say we have 100 monsters inside Spellbourne right now, about 600, 700 monsters have been rejected for that. So you can imagine how much work goes into this. And for us, it is very, very important that we don't, infringe any copyrights. And it is very, very important for us to build something that is unique, something that is a new experience, but still feels familiar. And it's a very, very difficult job to do. And yet, I think we have been doing a great job. And if there are any concerns about Spellbourne facing any copyright issues, there won't be any, because you cannot copyright gameplay.
Yeah.
You cannot copyright gameplay elements. You can only copyright IPs or characters or monster designs. And for us, all our monster designs, all our character designs are original. All the gameplay elements that we work with are either in the open space or something that is entirely new. It's not something that that we work on any ideas that might be copyrighted by any existing entity. So we are very, very careful about it, in short.
So
That's great to hear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
do you think that, because obviously you're very focused on that, are there instances where your artists come up with a completely unique idea which you look at and on face value like, that's a really good design, but then like there's a voice in the back end that says, but that's a bit close to a Pokemon of that already exists, so we have to reject that? Is it kind of infringing upon your creativity a little bit because you have to be so aware of what already exists and avoid it, or is it just the case that you just take the best 100 out of the 700 or whatever?
It does a lot, because if you look at Pokemon, they have covered 99% of the animals on the earth, on the face of Earth. Like you can look at any animal breed, and there would be a Pokemon that exists, related to it.
Yeah.
And you look at, if you look at a cat with electricity, you look at a cat with fire, because at the end of the day, if you dumb down these, monster designs, they're basically normal animals with a specific power.
Yeah.
And and Pokemon has over 1,000 monsters at this point. Even when they do their new monster designs, they kind of infringe on their own old designs because you can only create so many original ideas.
Yeah.
So it happens a lot that when we create a new monster design that is completely original, it ends up being a bit close to Pokemon, like not a direct copy, but it becomes very close. For example, if I do a cat with electricity, and we look at any Pokemon that is a cat with electricity, there are chances that they will end up looking similar, because how different can a cat be? It's as simple as that. So it ends up, there are instances where we have rejected really, really good designs just because of this. And it's not something that we can change, and it's not something we want to infringe upon. So we just take it at face value and just build out new designs that are not that close to in any existing ideas.
That's I can see how that would be challenging, but it's good that you have an active process to avoid that, because obviously when you are creating something like Spellbourne that hopefully is going to be adopted by thousands of people, the last thing you want is to have that come in for you. Can I just say thank you for today? I've really, really, really enjoyed it. It's been eye-opening in so many ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd really appreciate your time. Is there anything that you want to share with us that you haven't had the chance, or we haven't had the chance to ask you about?
I think we have mostly covered the major topics. Maybe I can go deeper on guild economies, but the main idea, as I discussed before, was that we want the players to control the game economy. We want the players to be able to build out their own content challenges, because when we talk about player-created content, it has a much bigger impact on the community rather than the content that we create. So when we built out this, custom game framework system, we built it in such a way that we could ship out content at a very, very, very low cost. For example, if we want to build out a new quest, it takes about 30 minutes of coding, and rest goes into just art side. So we need to do character designs and everything, but only 30 minutes of coding for a single quest, and that's fine with us. That's fine with us in terms of the content that we want to provide to players, but we realize that it might not be enough for many players. So to counter that, that's why we double down on creating guild economies bigger than the game itself, because if we look at players who are creative, they will find ways to kind of monetize this. They will find ways where they can make money by creating content inside Spellbourne without infringing our IP, and by providing that as something that is new, that is fun for the players inside the game itself. And you can already see that with a lot of guilds. Like I can name a few guilds that have been actively working on these things. They have had tournaments even for the PvP friendly feature, and they're actively creating content, because when you participate in a tournament, it is content. You are spending time in the game. You are having fun, and
for sure.
We can create incentives for that. But at the end of the day, it needs to be player run. It needs to be something that is started by the players on their own, because they enjoy the game, because they want to see the game flourish, because they want to see more players inside the game itself. And for us, luckily, that has been working well. For example, the Spellbourne wiki run by community, we never incentivized it. There's another website called Nutpicks. We never incentivized it. Then there's another project being built around apartment renting. We never incentivized it, but developers reach out to us. They build out products around the game because they like it. Players create their own guilds because they like the game, and because they see potential. And that's the main idea that we want to work with. And what we want to do next is provide them all the tools to do whatever they want. So as a guild, you will be able to have ERC20 tokens, ERC 1155 tokens, ERC 721 tokens inside the game economy, and you can do whatever you want with them. Your community members can, vote on different things using your ERC20 token, and then the guild can take different decisions. You can run tournaments, add that token as an entry fee. You can run competitions, you can run giveaways, you can run art competitions, you can even design quests inside the game. So a quest designer, that is a specific thing that would be coming next year. But yeah, a lot of things are focused on community created content. A lot of games do this thing, but they focus on doing it very, very early on. What we did was we tried to create content on our own first, and we want to have enough content for single players first. Then we want to hand in the tools to the community and have them run wild with their ideas, because we already see that our community is talented. Our community is creative, and we want to give them all the tools about whatever they would want. Any developer that reaches out to us regarding developer APIs, we all instantly start working on those things. So that's something that I wanted to talk about in the end, because that's very, very important to us in the future. Is that we want players to run the game economy instead of us controlling it, because we see that it is a way for the game to become successful without us having to put more effort into it. Like, once we push out the single player content, players can build out guilds, they can build out their missions, they can build out whatever they want, and we don't have to create new content. They create content, they share it with their friends, they market the game for us, while what we are focused on is creating a good product. That's it.
Wow. Yeah, for sure. Everything sounds really cool and exciting, honestly. And we also have our CCU tournament scheduled for next week, so you'll be seeing some content from us as well. So really excited about that. And thank you so much for taking the time and doing this interview with us today. It really was a lot of fun and insightful. We definitely want to see you back in a few months again.
Yeah, Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I've just got to add as well that I was already very pro Spellbourne. I've put a lot of hours into it, just like grinding, leveling up, trying to get to level 21 with everything. But I'm just so blown away by the vision, and I think a lot of people listening to this will have no idea of the sort of scale of your plans. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And yeah, we'll like Kitty said, we have a Spellbourne tournament next week, which we're really looking forward to, and hopefully we'll get the chance to catch up again in the future. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Would love to see your guild rise to the top in Guild Wars soon as well, because Guild Wars should be coming end of this year or early next year, and they will contain a lot of rewards. So in future seasons, the best way to earn tokens inside our game would be via Guild Wars, would be via PvP tournaments, and that's something that I think you're already focusing on. So yeah, this is best for both sides. And yeah, excited about your tournament. Please share the links with me regarding anything that you are sharing publicly on Twitter or any other platform. We'll kind of try to push it from our socials as well.
Thank you so much.
We will for sure. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.